Thank you, Maddie, and happy 2026, everyone. Welcome to Johnson Consulting Conversations. Today, we are diving into a topic that creates both excitement and anxiety for funeral service. It's artificial intelligence, aka AI. Whether you're curious or a little bit skeptical or somewhere in between, this conversation is designed to give you practical insights that you can actually use. And I'm thrilled to welcome my colleague and friend, Welton Hong, joining us today. He is the founder of Ring Ring Marketing that has helped thousands of small businesses in death care, hospice, senior care, and home improvement convert online leads directly to phone calls. He's also the author of Making Your Phone Ring with Internet Marketing and a regular contributor to Funeral Service Trade magazines. He has an incredible team at Ring Ring Marketing, and Johnson Consulting Group is grateful for his partnership and his friendship. And what makes Welton uniquely qualified for today's conversation, it's that he has a combination of technical experience paired with years of practical experience helping funeral homes grow their businesses. He understands both technology and the realities of our profession. Welcome, Welton.
Lacey, it's gonna be hard to match your energy and Maddie's energy. I'm like, wow. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us today. And I want us to start with the basics when we talk about AI in funeral service. What exactly are we talking about?
Right. So how I looked at AI these days pertaining to death care, really it's looking for ways to really look at what I more or less kind of call operation efficiency, is really to look for ways to really, hey, can I leverage AI to do X and Y and Z that it could actually make things better, flow nicer at a shorter amount of time. And that to me is actually very, very key how AI could really help out quite a bit, which we'll talk a lot more about, is to really save time. And obviously that should translate down to the bottom line.
Yes, and that's really helpful context. And I think it speaks to something that I'm seeing, that there's this gap of what is possible and what's actually happening in
Mhm.
most funeral homes. And you've been working with funeral homes on technology and marketing for years. What is the biggest gap that you see where funeral homes are technology, excuse me, where they should be, where they could be in
Right.
that matrix?
Right, and I will definitely say still some gaps. Besides AI, one big gap I still see, still quite a bit of funeral homes, they simply do not even have a good, proper CRM system, like a customer relations, right, software. And that to me is very, very critical. It's different than case management software. That CRM is there to build relationship with pre-need families, at-need families, aftercare. That to me is a pretty big gap. If you look at other verticals, other industries, typically by default, everyone has a CRM system. That's how you can keep records, right? All the history, notes, right? So that's one big gap that I see across the board. Many simply just don't have a good, proper CRM system.
I totally agree with you on that. As someone who has been working with funeral homes, implement a CRM to keep track of hospice
Right.
partnerships. It is something that is beyond useful and really simplifies the process, not only saving
Hmm.
time, but streamlining all of the initiatives that do take place, and really to watch those relationships grow. Uh, it
Yeah.
is it is a huge gap. I also think that there's this gap that is rooted in fear, and the fear of what makes funeral service so incredibly special. There's a lot of anxiety in our profession about losing that personal touch as they start to
Exactly.
implement technology. How do you
Right.
think about balancing technology with the deeply human work that we do?
This is where I also do fear as well, is a lot of folks out there are like, to me, AI these days, if we just talk about AI or overall technology, again, I love technology, but anything I would just say nicely, anything on the front line, if we're talking to clients, that type of communication, so far, I wouldn't use anything to do with AI. Again, definitely with AI, you can actually have a AI bot to be talking right to your clients on a website. You can actually have a chat bot to engage with your potential families or over the phone. They can actually do it very well. Again, there's some case studies, but this is where I don't agree using that for death care. It's so relationship based. I wouldn't do it.
I appreciate that perspective because I think there's a lot of confusion there. And I think maybe funeral directors hear AI and they may picture robots. What's the reality of how funeral homes can actually use this technology today?
Right. Yeah, I would safely say, and we'll go over some examples. Anything just similar to like running a restaurant, that's used as example. Anything back of the house, I would say there's a lot of great opportunities to leverage AI. But anything that's more or less like front of house, you're interacting with families, I wouldn't use AI much at all. Um,
Okay.
that's how I kind of look at our own ring remarketing over here. We could actually leverage AI to set appointment, remind our clients, hey, here's your next monthly strategy call. Can AI take care of that? Yes. However, we still choose to have a real live human being call our clients and remind them of the appointment coming up. That's how we're different. Again, definitely there's others that already leverage AI, but I still love and I still think that's why you look at Ritz-Carlton experience, it's that human touch, that human interaction. I don't think that could be replaced.
I appreciate that practical application of simply reminding you of an appointment. And I know that funeral directors may have concerns when it comes to AI. What are those concerns that they need to be thinking about when considering AI tools into their business?
Right. There's a few thoughts here. So first of all, if you are already using AI, hopefully you are, definitely you got to be doing a lot more than what you've done in the past is really do quality assurance. That is a big, big deal. If you're, again, many of you are already using ChatGPT, right? Gemini, whatever tools, that quality assurance is so critical. I don't see it hallucinate as much as right a year or 2 years ago. It's getting better, but that quality assurance is so critical. But one thing I really want to kind of talk a little bit more, just a overall messaging here, is as a funeral home, you got to really let your team know that do you bless AI or you don't bless AI.
Hmm.
And most likely, your younger staff, they're already using like ChatGPT, some of these tools, and they're afraid, right? And when they're using it, they're like, right? And I always tell our clients, you gotta either come up with a standard, do you brace AI or not, and put some boundaries around it. Hey, you can use it for this, not for this. And then, right, so I think that's very, very critical. Definitely, again, you got to QA, but at the same time, you really got to put some finer boundaries. Do you bless it, you not? And then, hey, what you can use it for. Yeah.
Those are important guardrails, and I want to push further on
Mhm.
this issue of boundaries that do matter. What are those things that AI simply shouldn't be used for in funeral service?
Yeah. So we'll say anything that is on the front line, it's still like leveraging it to do shortcut. I never look at AI as there to shortcut things at all. And definitely you can use AI to refine your communication with your families, like rewriting the email, right? Obituary writer, those type of things. and definitely rewriting emails. You already come up with your own, like how do you respond to the families, and then leverage AI to rewrite it. So it just refines it much better in a tone of that funeral home, right? Each funeral home has its own tone, right? Over here at Ring Marketing, our tone is very different than Tukia's, for example. They're like everyone there is happy, but over here, right, we're a little more serious over here. So that's why it's again that tone, overall tone that gotta again come from the funeral home. But anything that whenever using AI, it feels a little more like a shortcut. It doesn't feel right. That's when I wouldn't use it.
So let's
Right.
flip that
Yeah.
question. We talk
Yep.
about what could go wrong with
Oh yeah.
AI. What is
Mhm.
the risk in doing nothing? What do you see happening to funeral homes
Right.
that ignore these
Right.
shifts?
Sure. Yeah, it's actually odd for me to say this. Probably not a whole lot of impact yet.
Mm.
Definitely not yet. But those firms that are leveraging AI, playing with it, definitely as they are, right? Again, we all know the cost to run a funeral home expenses keeps on going up, right? Inflation, revenue per call keeps on declining. And that's where you really got to look for ways to really operate right more efficiently. And that's where that really, if you look at firms that's adapting AI a little bit, that's when you can see their bottom line is a little bit higher margin than those who are not. But if you're not using AI right now, you still can, it's still fine. I don't see like you won't see much night and day difference, right? Obviously you will if you really start using it, but I don't think, yeah. Yeah.
So there's both opportunity and risk, and of course, productivity is
Right.
at the top
Right.
of all of our minds.
Exactly.
But I want us
Exactly.
to get practical. If a funeral director is curious, but they don't know where to start, what's one simple way that they could begin
Hmm.
experimenting with AI this
Hmm.
week?
Yeah. Super simple. There's a couple thoughts here. One is again, these are all most of these are free. Whether you use ChatGPT or Gemini, those two are all equally good, right? Really equally good. Gemini sometimes is actually better than ChatGPT already. For a while, people think Google is behind, right? And obviously they were behind a little bit. And with the latest Gemini 3.0 that came out, it's much stronger now. So look at Google stocks. Once Gemini 3.0 came out, it just took off, right? So now they're no longer behind. But I would say really sign up for a free account. And they're free, right? Gemini or ChatGPT, especially if you have a Gmail account, you would have Gemini. Just go on Gemini, right? And what I would do if I were you is actually very simple first exercise. Outrageous simple is just copy and paste one of the email you're about to send out to one of the families. Very, very simple. Copy and paste that into the body and then just let it know, hey, can you clean up this for grammar, right? Can you refine this email? You don't need to give it much instruction even. Hey, can you make sure this email, can you refine this email? And you'll see it rewrites it in better tone. Just overall better. That's the first thing I would do. Me personally, I do that quite a bit. Our team does that because our our employees are getting younger and
Mm.
younger, and when they write emails, I cringe all the time. It's like you're not texting your friend. You are not. You're, and we have our own right kind of formality over here. You still gotta have a proper way to be emailing right clients, and that's why again, that's why if you, I really do encourage seriously, funeral home to really make sure to train your staff to use at least use right Gemini or ChatGPT to refine the emails. It'll really pretty it up a little bit more then.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed with writing tasks, and certainly using AI to clean up an email is very, very useful. What about social media or website content? How can AI help with that?
All of the above.
Mhm.
So I'll give you a few thoughts here. Social media is definitely a firm outrageously yes. Very, very simple. And we'll talk a little more later, but typically, definitely social media posting, right? Talking about who you are, how are you different, messaging, right? And we'll talk a little more later how to refine that a little bit more. But definitely social media posting is a firm yes. Anything to do with content, right? Messaging. Website, I would really highly encourage to really go in and rewrite quite a bit of content. Because when you typically have a new website, again, all of these suppliers do a good job in creating websites, but the content more or less looks exactly the same. Yes, right. So it's definitely a good idea to go back in there, leveraging AI, train AI, hit us who we are, what we do, how are we different, let it rewrite some of the content on your website, your About Us page, services, homepage. It does that very, very well.
And that's the pushback that I hear from funeral professionals thinking about using AI. They don't want it to sound generic or robotic.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
is great and practical tips to prevent that from happening because it is certainly a concern. But content is one piece. There's also the visual side of what funeral homes
Exactly.
do. Let's talk about the visual side of things,
Mhm.
whether it's programs, announcements, social media graphics. Can smaller funeral homes without design team members, can they compete with using AI tools?
Of course. So with images, these days, I'll say these days, ChatGPT and Gemini has used to be called Nano Banana. It's right, but it's all integrated into Gemini these days. The graphics generated by
Mhm.
these tools are actually very, very good, outrageously good. Obviously, you got to give it a little more details. I like this, I don't like this, right? And overlaying text, it's much better even than 6 months ago. So to really design something for redoing, or to the point you have an image, you can upload that image and hey, can you remove this from the back? Can you, right? It does those very well. To a point you don't really need graphics designer much anymore. Most of day to day, I'll say very much day to day stuff. If you have a lunch alert event coming up, you want to post on social media, you can just go on ChatGPT. Hey, I'm doing lunch and learn, right? Can you generate an image or this is where it's going to be at a right restaurant? It will really come up with very, very good graphics for you. If you don't love it, reprompt it. Hey, I don't like this. I don't. That's why it's. Again, we'll talk a lot more about this. Lacy, to me is kind of interesting. The mindset is very, very different. Is now you literally have somebody sit right next to you,
Mm.
right? You could have a graphics designer right next to you, a full-time copywriter next to you, but you got to have conversation with that copywriter, or else how in the world that copywriter know what you want? It's going to interview you to learn more about your business so you can write better copy. Same thing with graphics designer. Like you got to give it, right? If you hire somebody full time or just like contract it out, they got to know what you want, like what type of color scheme you like. It's exactly the same thing. It's not magic. You
Mhm.
got like some folks try this, like, oh, the graphics is not good. Because again, the mind says you have somebody next to you. You gotta tell it what you want.
It's
Right.
not magic, it's not a
No.
mind reader, and I
No.
appreciate your passion, Welton. You're very excited, and that is a very good, relatable example of someone sitting right beside you. And what if that was the situation, and what do they need from you in order to complete that task? And that
Right.
applies to AI. You've
Right.
dropped a few AI names of tools. Since we started, we want to hear more. I want you to go into a
Yes.
little bit more detail on those AI tools that you recommend to funeral homes that they can, log in, create an account, and start this week.
Um, yeah, so definitely Gemini is a right. Definitely you already most of you use Google already. So Gemini is so easy, right? And then ChatGPT, the only two other ones I really again this more for fun, right? More for fun. If you really love to create graphics, I would use Midjourney. Mid-Journey. So far, the graphics created through Mid-Journey still is better than ChatGPT and Gemini. Um, it's the exact same thing. You get account free usage for a while, right? And I would definitely play with Mid-Journey quite a bit. And our friend Anthony said exactly what I was going to recommend is Perplexity. I've been using Perplexity a lot more to do heavy research, very heavy research, and to the point that I go under quite a bit instead of Google search and cross-reference. Right? Those are, but really, to be honest, like just pick one. Just like if you love ChatGPT, just use ChatGPT, and it can get probably 90% of the stuff done. If you love Gemini, right? If you look at a younger generation, more of them are using Gemini, not ChatGPT. It just simply they don't want to ask their parents, "Hey, can I get a credit card so I can cheat on my homework?" So they're all using Gemini a lot more. It's free, right?
Thank you, Anthony, with NFDA, dropping those little nuggets in the chat feature. If you haven't gone over there to see what he's typing in, be sure and check it out. Now, Welton, how much of a learning curve is there with these AI tools? And I'd like for you to compare that between maybe ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity.
Right. Yeah, I'll say all these learning curve is almost none. It almost is none. The mindset, it seems daunting. It's very different than using Google. Very, very different, right? And all of us know how to use Google. You go on Google and you typically type in very, very short search term, like funeral home near me, right? Very, very short search term. These AI tools like ChatGPT, for example, Gemini, Perplexity, they're all more or less the same. It's you're having conversation. It's very, very different mindset. You're typing in like this, like what I want, like very, very long, right? Input. The better the input, the better the output. And I still go back to there's two mindset a little bit different how the output would vary. First is you got to give it more context. The more context, again, that's what we were talking about. The more context you gave it, the more right it knows about what you want, the better the output. And plus, that context would also involve something I called a knowledge file. This is what I recommend all of our funeral home clients, that you got to have something called a knowledge file. That knowledge file is basically talking about, right, the funeral home, the history of funeral home, who you are, what you do, how are you different. It's basically a huge document that's blessed by the funeral home. That way, you upload that document anytime, again, to be keeping this very, very simple. Anytime you're writing content, right, you just drag and drop that file, and that file is everyone within the firm is using that same file. So you drag and drop in there. So when you're writing content, now it knows a lot more about the funeral home, right? So it's not going to be having anything generic type of content. So one thing here is I really highly encourage all firms to get one of these documents, whatever we end up calling it. It's a shared document that has everything about the funeral home, down to right what type of tone you like, so that way the output, the tone is the right type of tone. But all these, the learning curve is so little. Really is just the mindset is you got somebody right next to you. So this is typically what I do. First thing is I always, depending on the task, let's say I have HR issues, for example. And that's one thing the first thing I will tell ChatGPT is you're an expert, or you're an HR manager, you're an expert in HR. Or if I have a legal document I want ChatGPT to look through first before I give it to attorney, right? You say you're an expert, right, especially in corporate law, for example. So the model will change a little bit differently, right? Or if I'm writing copy, I love, for example, Gary Halbert, who is a very, very famous copywriter, John Carlton, for example. I love their style. So right away, it will write, right? It knows who John Carlton is. Then the output will be more in that type of tone. Um, so that's typically the first thing I do is I want to let ChatGPT know who, like literally who is sitting right next to me. Now I have infinite possibilities, right? Hey, you're expert in this and that. And then the model will change quite a bit. Plus, I upload the document about who we are, right? What we do. Then you start prompting, hey, this is the exercise I need to get done, the task I need to get done. Yep.
That's great advice. Uploading the document, giving AI the details they need, and also being very forthcoming on the tone of what you want it to sound like and what you want that style to be. I think those are three great tips. And I want to talk about one of the biggest operational challenges, which is the reality that funeral service is a 24/7 business and staff is available around the clock. How can AI help with that reality?
This goes back to I wouldn't use it for answering the phone or any type of communication. It's again, I'm a little biased here. To me, again, that is how the firm is unique differently because every phone call is so critical how you convert that phone call. However, if you have a direct cremation business like an e-commerce website, that's where you could actually leverage AI a little bit. I'll say a little bit. As they're checking out the page by page, you can actually leverage, for example, now they're on the earns page. You can actually have a chatbot there and you retrain the bot on what services or what type of earns you offer. So they can actually have a conversation with that chatbot as they're going down the journey and choosing those type of products and services you have. That's probably the only extreme I would use it, pushing a little bit more, because those families they love to be using to check it on their own already. That's where you can actually add a little more value to help them all the way to the end. But anything over the phone, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, considering from your perspective, you're working with clients to get the phone to ring, and to be able to have that very personal conversation with families. And we know that there's a fine line with being helpful and maybe seeming cold when families are reaching out. How do you navigate that conversation with a funeral home owner or manager that is presenting that to you as their resistance?
One more time, Lacy. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. How do you navigate a funeral home owner or manager who is looking at that fine line of being helpful, but how it may come across as cold to a family?
Yeah. So again, if you felt it's cold, I really won't use it. I'm a little bit, to me, it's very, very black and white. It's any type of communication with families, again, besides email, where you're not leveraging AI, you're rewriting, for better tone. But to that end, anything on the front line communication, I really personally won't do it. Even texting, you can have it can recognize and then text it back. Again, all those things, yeah, that's how, yeah, eventually some firms might use it, but I just don't think that's how you would be different then.
Well, I think that advice that you're giving is that if you feel in your heart that it's cold, that's probably the right decision not to go down that road at all. You got to follow your gut on that. And if you're used to being incredibly personal with families 24/7 and it's working, there may not be a need to veer from that. But I want to shift to something that funeral homes are also challenged with, and that is supporting families after the funeral has taken place. And aftercare and grief support, those are huge opportunities for funeral providers, but they're also resource intensive. Where does technology fit into supporting grieving families?
Right. Yeah. If this where we can really leverage AI to come up with quite a bit of content, very much quite a bit of content on providing grieving resources, right? You can leverage CRM system to kind of drip the content to help them along the grieving process, right? And down to the point is, I'll do a fun example here on ChatGPT here, just for fun. Okay, I'm gonna open up ChatGPT on my phone, and there's that voice option here. You gotta have a conversation with it, right? Hey, ChatGPT.
Yeah. How's it going? What's on your mind today?
Good. My dad just recently passed away. Can you be my grief counselor to help me with the grieving process?
I'm really sorry to hear about your dad. I'm here to listen and support you. Grief can be tough, and it's unique for everyone. What's been on your heart or mind right now as you're navigating this?
I feel very lonely.
It's completely natural to feel that way. Losing someone so close leaves a big space, but even when it feels lonely, you're not alone in this. I'm here to walk alongside you, and it's okay to lean on others too.
Or I can have a conversation with it, right? And I taught my mom how to use it. So this actually helped her along. She just needs somebody to talk to. So this really is, it's pretty neat. Yeah. We taught her how to use ChatGPT for 81-year-olds.
Oh, that's
in
sweet.
Chinese. In
Oh,
Chinese. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Right.
I like the live demonstration there. I don't think we've ever had that on a Johnson Consulting conversation, so that's a great way to start out the year. But I want to talk a little bit about personalization. That was a very
Yes.
personal conversation you just had with ChatGPT. If a funeral director or outreach specialist was using AI to create grief support resources for a specific family,
Right.
how does the personalization work
Sure.
in that regard?
Sure. Yeah. So this is my thought is leverage these AI tools. First of all, is to come up with, again, I don't love to call generic content, come up with some good generic content. Then based on that, you already know this family, right? It's like writing obituaries. They like this, they don't like this, what happened. Then can obviously go back to ChatGPT, can rewrite these content for this right person. Then it's going to rewrite it to be a little more talking to this individual. Then the content will be a lot more in tone, just catered for that individual then. And really,
So
it's not a lot of work. It really is instantly copy and paste the content you already have, rewrite it for this individual. And it's
mm,
at most 5 minutes, at most probably 3 minutes, and you're done. Obviously, you got to prove it, right?
yeah, increased productivity
Yeah.
once again in the area of grief support. And I'm curious, in thinking about your funeral home clients, have they shared with you how families respond to anything that's AI related?
So typically, most of our clients so far, just like what I suggested, one firm actually like started playing with voice recording leveraging AI, and I kind of or it's basically is I study it. I'm like, this is exactly what you said. It feels very cold. Again, it's very important. So most of the firms that we work with or consult with, still mainly it's going to be very more on the content side, more again or back of the house, right?
Mhm.
Writing training materials, rewriting training materials, rewriting SOPs, like documentations, job postings, for example, come up with different ideas, upload financial statements. Hey, can you analyze this for me? So not so much like outward facing. It's still more, even me, is still more internal
Mm.
operation, looking for ways for internal operation.
Well, I am
Yeah.
curious about your mother. What feedback has she given you?
She loved it because she's alone these days, right? And she got to, again, she knows it's a bot. She knows it's a bot, but really just whenever she's lonely, she's chatting with it. And not like my dad passed away about 2 years ago, but now she's still using it just to chat with it. Anytime she feels lonely, she's right. So it really is pretty interesting. And to the point, I would say in the near future, again, I have an iPhone, right? The Apple intelligence is not that intelligent. Siri is still very, very like again, sorry for it's just, right. And then yesterday, right, Apple announced it's gonna be tap into Gemini model, right? So now we can actually have real, meaningful conversation without launching ChatGPT, those type of things, and get a lot of stuff, right? Even Alexa is much smarter these days than ever. You can actually have a conversation with it. So all these right smart devices, you can actually have real meaningful conversation, ask a lot of questions, and actually respond very intelligently.
Well, look at you, Welton. You are scooping us on Apple News. I had not even heard that. So thank you for that. Talking about investment, you did mention creating a free account, but
Yeah.
let's talk about upgrading that subscription. What does that
Mhm.
look like for a funeral home?
Right. ChatGPT, for example, $20. I typically my guidance is just be like it's $20, right? And you don't have to worry about usage, whether you're on the latest model, because each model, even incremental updates, is a huge deal in hallucination, content output. It really is $20. That's it, right?
That is
And
very, very reasonable.
that's not like hundreds or thousands. If $20, I can guarantee you're gonna get that $20 worth or plus more.
Well, let's talk about that along those
Right.
lines. If a
Right.
funeral home
Yeah.
implemented AI January 1st, and they are using it for all of these writing tasks that obviously is saving them time. They have increased productivity. What does that look like in terms of results if we look at the end of first quarter or the end of second quarter and they've been using it for 6 months?
Right. Yeah, I'll say first of all, less stressful. It really is first of all, you're gonna be less stressed out. You're gonna not gonna be always trying to play catch up. A lot of these are just like, oh, I have to get to this. And a lot of times it's just writing content, right? And to me is it's gonna be less stressful. You're gonna get more done in a lot less time, especially if you're working with right somebody outside. It's that back and forth to get stuff done. Or even me, like I leverage my team, but even me, I'm not leveraging them as much because I can just get stuff done leveraging these AI tools. I don't need right, and that back and forth communication really right is taxing. It takes a lot of time. So even that's why I keep on saying that whole internal operation, efficiency, productivity. It really is. That's how I look at it. It's hard to quantify in dollars, but it translates to the bottom line in the amount of time savings.
Well, Welton, you
Yeah.
make AI sound like it's a self-care tool, and I think people would be totally on board for that. So I like that you kind of look at it from that perspective and being less stressed, which is something we all want. What are some of those mistakes that funeral homes make when they first try to implement it?
Right. I would highly say those early adopters, let's say if you start using ChatGPT when it first came out a couple of years ago and you heard about it, you play with it back then, and of course the output back then was not good at all. It's much slower. The output is not as good. It really did back then hallucinate quite a bit. So if that was your experience back then, give it a shot again. It's totally different output these days. It's much more intelligent, right? It really does study websites, right? It actually even looking at it can actually pull CDC data very, very accurately to give you trend analysis, things like that. So I would definitely say if you had negative experience with it before, try again. Even the same task you want to get done, try it again. It's going to be different. Again, it cannot do everything still very well. For example, I asked it to, hey, can you really count the obituary for this funeral home? Go on this website, count the obituaries, right? So I can see whether it's like they're actually growing. I also look at competition. The output is still not accurate. So you got to, again, that's why I keep on testing. Again, I keep on saying for now it's not accurate. The next version might start to be able to really count. It's just getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah, I think definitely if they need to try it again, but maybe try 3 different tools to see which one feels most comfortable, what feels is more user-friendly to that person, and spend time doing it, and don't feel rushed in using it. Explore, experiment. What do you like that you get with ChatGPT? What do you like that you get with Gemini? Perhaps give them the same task and see what those results are. We've covered a lot today regarding AI, and I want us to look ahead. What's coming next in this space that funeral homes should be paying attention to?
Right. Yeah, the next big deal is something called, again, it sounds too good to be true. It's called AI agent. So what these AI agents do is they can actually do very, very complicated tasks. They're kind of like your assistant. Hey, can you go off and do this? And now literally you have 10 or 20 different agents out there actually working on these tasks. Right now, if you give ChatGPT a prompt, it instantly gives you output, but you have to keep on going back and forth. It cannot do very, very complicated tasks. But with AI agents, they're able to think a lot more time because it's an agent. It's going to take its time to do the research. Even overnight, they'll give it a very, very good output. And for fun, I'm going to post a link on here just for fun for you guys to see. So this is where it's leveraging something called Claude. That's another AI tool. And they have something called AI code where you can actually leverage it to have different agents. So the exercise I gave it is, hey, can you please look at the next 3 years, right? 2026, 7, 8, and like what does the mortality trend looks like? And kind of give me, hey, some idea. Plus, once you gather the data, go ahead and create a website for me so I can share the data with our clients. And it just went off. Again, it sounds too good to be true, which like, if it really is, it just went off, did research, put the table together in nice table, and it also got the website created. If you guys look at the website, it's pretty scary. Again, it even created a nice URL with the naming code, mortality intelligence. It just went off. Again, I can give it a different output, right? But basically, that is a kind of creepy future.
Do you think there's going to come a time when families actually expect or prefer some level of AI interaction with funeral homes?
I keep on debating. I personally, this is such a high touch. I just, again, other industries, maybe if you're home improvement, like it's, but I keep on going back and forth, even within, like, we can actually do a lot of wonders, but that human touch in this profession, you can leverage quite a bit, again, behind the scenes. I'll give you an example behind the scenes. So these days, you can actually leverage these AI tools to listen to the calls, for example, and then use it as a coaching opportunity. Right? I'll give it a real life example. That's what we do here internally. There's no way even our managers can be doing quality assurance of all the calls, right? Whether inbound, outbound with our clients, our monthly strategy call. So what we did is anytime a call is done, whether voice or Zoom strategy call, the transcripts automatically generate that fed into our AI tool, and we prompted, hey, this is what a format of strategy call should look like. Did John talk about this, and this, right? Can you grade this call based on these parameters, right? And then can you tell whether the overall sentiment of the client, right? And if the client's right away, once the strategy call is done, instantly we get the results. And until the point, if it's lower grade, or the manager gets an alert right away. Hey, client's not happy. Hey, that's hop on right away, right? So I see that's a huge, even funeral homes can use this quite a bit, right? It's, hey, was a conversation well with somebody who called in, those type of things for training purposes, not it's purely for training, right?
Oh, I like that. I like it when you talk training. That's
Yep.
right up my alley, and it absolutely can help funeral directors improve upon their skills and what's
Right.
working, what's not working. And this has been incredibly insightful. It's practical. You're honest always in your perspective, and you're not too overwhelming to anybody when you're talking about technology, which is something I appreciate. I want to check in with Maddie to see what questions we have from our audience.
Hoo-wee, do we have more activity in our chat than I think ever before? Welton, my goodness, you're bringing
That's
a
all
storm
Anthony.
to us. Love it. Well, we do, yes, have a few questions. So I think actually what you guys just talked about with grading the calls might have answered this, but Keith Cooper asks, can you give examples how AI was used to increase efficiency and profitability?
Yeah. So definitely any type of content writing, again, any type of content writing. I would really say even internal operating procedures, onboarding, right? Onboarding documentation, right? Or to the point, even onboarding, right? Customers, for example, your workflow, you can really upload that. Hey, can you look at our workflow so far? And can you give us some inputs on as to how you can make this more, right, more efficient? Even that documentation itself, it can go back and kind of clean it up. So, right, those are little things that, again, the model is so darn scary. I always say it's just magical. It is scary, good. So it really knows what funeral home do. They really know what down to, like, right, what funeral directors do and how to operate a business, right? And me personally, I would say just for fun, upload your financials, just again purely for fun, right? And really let it guide you, hey, what you're doing well, what not doing well. Again, I know that's what right Johnson does very well, but again, just for fun, right? You can really just play with it, and that's why I keep on saying this. Really sit down for about 30 minutes. Really just sit down with a piece of paper and really brainstorm. In an ideal world, it's not only ideal. In an ideal world, if you can hire, outsource, whatever you call it, right? Hire, outsource, clean up whatever like things you have. Really just write down a piece of paper on it and just have fun with AI. See if it can do X, Y, and Z, right? You have challenges of hiring. Maybe it's the job posting that's not good, right? Let it rewrite, and then next is, hey, I have hard time, right, getting funeral directors. Brainstorm with it. Hey, what do you think we should be doing differently? Where should we be posting this? Like, it's like now you have a consultant. You just keep on chatting back and forth. It's pretty scary.
I love it. Yes, teamwork and having fun.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have John Wilson who asks, building on your discussion of AI for back of house efficiencies, like refining emails or implementing CRMs, how do you envision integrating emerging technologies like virtual reality for digital memorials in cemeteries? Could this help scale personalization without losing the human touch, especially for the younger generation expecting interactive experiences?
And that's where whether we end up calling it, whether it's a chat bot or those type of right things, or even like talking to it, right? You can actually have write a app just to be interacting with the families, right? And I will definitely say yes for the younger generation. That's what they do expect to be having a conversation. But still, is you got to really train the model. Again, when I say model, it's not a model, right? All these are large language model provided by Google. That's what everyone says. Hey, they have um, everyone's tapping into these models, right? Nobody's writing a model, but you got to let it know a little bit more, like the parameters, right? So definitely, it's the younger generation like me. I'm not young anymore, but I do, right? There's more, the more possible ways to interact, the better it is. That's how I look at it.
Oh, well, and you look young to me, so you're perfectly fine.
Thank you. Just kidding. Yeah.
John Wilson also says, you mentioned concerns about AI hallucinations and the
Mhm.
need for quality assurance, especially in the trust-based fields like for us. For cemetery operators using CRMs to track family histories, what safeguards, parameters like you were referencing, would you recommend to protect data privacy and avoid those errors that could hurt family relationships?
Right. Um, and that's still going back to, first of all, hallucination doesn't happen as much anymore. I will say as much anymore. It's very rare. The only time I see it hallucinate is the data accuracy. It's still the data side. If you're just having conversation or like email writing, those I don't see a lot of hallucination anymore. It's the data side. If you're asking to do research, so those are the ones I typically will run the same prompt across all these AI tools. I will use Gemini, I will use Perplexity, I will use Claude, I'll use ChatGPT, and use a deep research model to do heavy research. But to answer John, I don't see it hallucinating much anymore. It really is. There's nothing to worry. Obviously, you got to queue it. That's why I keep on going back is proofread the output. You just got to proofread the output. Um, who knows? Like it just keeps on getting better, but I still don't trust it. Every time I ask to rewrite the email, I don't just copy and paste output and not read it and hit send. I still read it, I still correct it, I still modify a little bit before I hit send. So everything I will still say you gotta be careful. Again, it's like assistant right next to you. It cannot do everything for you, right? It's you still need to tell it, and you still need your own right. Right. At the end of the day, it's still you gotta prove it. Yeah.
Yes, Jess made a good point. She
Yeah.
just commented the human in the loop. We absolutely need
Yep.
it.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
So, our final question here from Christy, what are some of the best CRM systems for funeral homes that you referenced?
So purposely built for funeral home. I haven't seen there's funeral decision. That's a very, very good CRM system, but it's a little bit more built for pre-needs. It's a little more catered towards pre-needs. Um, but as far as you can easily get any generic CRM system, right? One that's getting more and more popular these days is something called Go High Level, GHL. People just call it GHL. Uh, it's outrageously simple to use. You don't really need a to know software coding. It's so easy. You can build sequences in there to drip it to the point, right? The inbound leads that's come in, you can start to, right? Those are the critical ones that you can drip in and then write email sequences to nurture those leads. But Go High Level will be one I would personally look into. It's not expensive at all, and to the point, even the support, if you don't know anything, there's a support button you click on, and the real life, again, this goes back to they can use AI, but a live human being jumps on Zoom, automatic opens up Zoom and help you troubleshoot. Yes, can it be done in AI? No, that's how Go High Level is way better than other CRM system, because typically there's a chat value, chat with that, you wait forever. It choose to instantly zoom right here. Like, what do you need? It's a real support person that you can actually see.
So I feel like we always are asking, like, please support real person. So they've already got it down. They just get you right over. And I love that.
Yeah.
Like GHL, it's like very trendy, kind of almost like, oh, you don't know about GHL? Come on. But all right. Well, those are the last of our questions. Lacy, if we want to do our wheel, I'll let you intro.
Yes, we're giving away 5 copies of Welton's book. Spin that wheel, Maddie.
All righty, everyone. Drum roll, please. We've got a lot of names on here. Who will it be? Who will it be? All right, Tiffany Fisher gets copy number 1. All righty, let's see here. We've got 4 more. And next in line. Oh, we're really loving the teas today, huh? Travis! And I will be able to find you based off of your email address. I will definitely connect with everyone who wins to make sure we get your information over to Welton. Here we go. 3 more books. Who are the lucky, lucky winners? Thomas Parmalee!
You got the book.
Well, thanks for being here, Tom. My goodness, it feels like it's always ending over here in these views. Okay, Tracy McAdams. All right, thank you, Tracy. And then did I lose count? Is this our last one? I think.
Yep.
Here we go. Oh, Sandra Reno. Sorry if I mispronounce anybody's name. I greatly apologize.
Thank you, Maddie. And Welton, thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. I have got a bottle of Oxmoor bourbon for you to say thank you. And we appreciate your friendship and your partnership. It's 124 proof. I think you're really going to enjoy that from the home of Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And for those of you who don't know, I live right here in Kentucky. And for those of you that attended today, we hope that this conversation has demystified AI and given you some concrete steps in moving forward. And we know that technology isn't about replacing the human heart of funeral service. It is about giving you tools to serve families better while protecting your own time and energy. Consider it an investment in self-care. If you want to learn more about Welton's work, you can find him at Ring Ring Marketing online, and of course check out his book Making Your Phone Ring with Internet Marketing. And of course he is all over every social media platform there is, sharing the most valuable content. So thank you again, Welton.
Thank you.
And I want everyone to save the date for February the 11th. Well, I will be joined by Vince Roberger, Senior Business Consultant for Johnson Consulting Group. And we're going to be discussing our leadership and management program. It is the premier experience designed to empower funeral and cemetery professionals with proven strategies for success. That takes place March 31st to April the 2nd in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Thank you again for joining us. And thank you, Maddie, for your hard work behind the scenes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.